Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So we've got a new PM in Canada. Justin Trudeau issued his fare thee well last week.
On a personal level, I've made sure that every single day in this office, I put Canadians first, that I have people's backs. And that's why I'm here to tell you all that we got you. Even in the very last days of this government, we will not let Canadians down today and long into the future.
Okay.
And he was crying. He had tears in his eyes. Did you see that? Somebody get that guy a tissue, man.
He's a grade school drama teacher, so he's given to melodrama, I suppose. The new guy, same as the old guy, was a central banker. There's a red flag right there. A central banker named Matt Carney, and tough talk in the direction of Trump.
There's someone who's trying to weaken our economy.
The bluebirds are out.
Donald Trump. And Donald Trump, as we know, has put, as the Prime Minister just said, unjustified tariffs on what we build, on what we sell, on how we make a living. He's attacking Canadian families, workers, and businesses, and we cannot let him succeed. And we won't. We won't. I am proud of the response of Canadians who are making their voices heard and their wallets felt.
Okay, well, that guy's got all the charisma of an oil painting. So we'll see. This is a temper. He's the PM for now. They're going to call an election at some point in the not-too-distant future, I suspect, and that's where Poilievre and Conservatives have a chance to take power. We'll get some assessment of the prospects of that shortly. But I also wanted to include Doug Ford, since he's the Premier of Ontario, and he's been saber-rattling on the issue of tariffs, not just with his the 25% tariff he wanted to put on electricity that's sold into the United States, but also that he's now relented on pending his meeting tomorrow with Lutnick, as we were discussing with Brian Westbury. But also that he's going to run a series of...
What?
Well, he's going to run an ad campaign against the Trump administration in America.
The president started this fight.
So if I'm hearing you, you're saying you're going to run attack ads, basically, against what he's doing in the States?
Well, I wouldn't call them attack ads. I'm going to call them information ads.
Okay.
And they're going to inform the great people of the United States, how it could be, and having two great nations, and how it might be if these tariffs continue to go through. As far as I'm concerned, it's unacceptable. So,
yeah, I liked the crackhead Ford, his brother, dearly departed, better. Yeah, but
they look so much alike. Oof.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's try to tamp down the acrimony a bit. See if we can come together as fellow North Americans and find some common ground. Jerry Agar, a longtime friend of the show, Toronto Sun columnist and radio talker in his own right, hosted the Jerry Agar Show on News Talk 1010 CFRB in Canada. Jerry, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so give us the temperature of the Canadians and what you're thinking and you're hearing about the prospects for this meeting between the Commerce Secretary and Doug Ford, and maybe that as a gateway to meetings at the heads of state level.
Well, I'm glad that you included Doug Ford, the Premier of Ontario, because he's the head of the Association of Premiers of all provinces and territories here in Canada, and with basically a deficit of leadership in Ottawa, I mean beyond what it normally was, because I think Trudeau was such a disaster, but he effectively hasn't been Prime Minister now for a little while, and Mark Carney apparently will officially be Prime Minister coming up on Friday. Doug Ford has been the guy who has stepped forward to prosecute this issue. issue with Donald Trump. He constantly says here in Canada, and I assume he says it when he speaks on media in the U.S. as well, that he is conducting a battle with Donald Trump, not the people of America. We love America. He did business in America. By the way, he has a business near Chicago, an extension of a business that he has here. So he's very close to the United States in that regard. But as to how it's going here, even people like myself, I would have voted for Trump if I were there. I think domestically he's doing a lot of good things, such as cutting back on the size of government, his attitude toward illegal aliens. It's usual for politicians to lip service that they care about that, conduct committee meetings, and do nothing. And Trump has jumped on it. It's incredible, and I give him credit for that. But this trade war that's now going on, this battle between Canada and the United States, is trade wars are destructive to consumers in both countries, and it's unnecessary. And his attacking Canada as though he's going to take over the country, weaken our economy, take over the country, and make us the 51st state. Even people like myself, who are generally supportive of Donald Trump, are anywhere from upset to just furious about this right now.
Oh, interesting. Well, I mean, yeah, but I mean, as a keen observer, a longtime observer of Trump and politics, I mean, you understand that that 51st state business is basically trolling. I mean, it's where he's not scrambling the 82nd Airborne and sending them up north to storm the Capitol in Ottawa or anything like that. People don't really believe that, do they? I mean, it's just sort of posturing, particularly in the direction of Trudeau, because he's such a he's such a putz, right?
Well, yeah, that's a good word to use. His whole "we've got your back." He never had our back. I can't wait for an election and hope for the election of Pierre Poilievre as prime minister, because I think actually Pierre Poilievre and Donald Trump, first of all, are going to get along a lot better. Right. I don't think that Pierre Poilievre will necessarily rise to debate on trolling. The problem we have here, Dan, is that I believe you're right that there's a lot of trolling. If Trump pokes you and you react, he'll poke you again, because that's just the way that he is. Mm-hmm. He's done it. He did it in the past, and it got ignored, and so it wasn't anything. I don't think Poilievre will really react to that, but a lot of Canadians are. I think there are a lot of Canadians actually afraid that Donald Trump is trying to literally take over Canada.
Really?
Yes.
But do you believe that, Jerry Agar?
I don't.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we have to deal with the reality that we have here. I have to deal with that reality on my show every day. That there are people who are just freaked out about what's going on here. Now, those are the people who are going to vote for Mark Carney, so, I don't pay that much attention to them. But,
right.
But ever since Trudeau stepped down and this whole trade war has started, Trump has, and I hope it wasn't his intention, Trump has actually helped the Liberals, because now people are freaked out, and the left is running ads that are comparing Pierre Poilievre to Trump, and Trump is trying to destroy Canada, and Pierre Poilievre will just bend the knee. That's what the Liberal ad says. Will bend the knee to Trudeau and sell us out, or to Trump rather, and sell us out. That's the mood that's going on here, and it has tightened the polls between the Conservatives and the Liberals, and that bothers me.
Yeah, I've seen that, and it bothers me too. By the way, maybe we could do like a good faith offering. What if we sent like Ryan Reynolds back as like a good faith offering?
There's a lot of Canadian comedians too that could add in that.
Would that assuage some of the fears? No, but on the Poilievre thing, but Poilievre also gave this speech where he talked about standing up to Trump, just like the politicians on the left have said as well. I mean, he did it in a more professional and thoughtful way, of course, but I mean, it seems to me that provides an opportunity for him to really separate himself. Yes, I'm a conservative, but I'm a Canadian first kind of guy, like Trump is an America first kind of guy, and I'm going to deal with this guy, and we're gonna have a productive relationship as opposed to this antagonistic one that he has with these Marxists. And so you hear me right now standing up for Canada. I don't agree with what Trump's doing, and it seems to me that would provide a political opportunity for Poilievre in a sense.
Yeah, well, he has to do that here because he has to counter that attack that he would sell Canada out, and so he has to do that. As we've discussed, I think he has a better chance of having a good relationship with Trump. Part of what bothers people like me, and as I've told you, I'm largely a supporter of Trump, but what bothers me is this is all unnecessary because we already have a trade agreement in place. And in 2018, when he put it in place, Trump called it the greatest trade agreement ever made. which is, of course, how he talks. But, I mean, that's what he said about it. And now he's complaining. He even said the other day, who would sign this? Well, he did. So any agreement can always be up for renegotiation. But you renegotiate. You don't come in like a bully and start kicking over the furniture. And that's what he's doing.
Yeah, I mean, I hear what you're saying. But the flip side, though, is we've been talking about on this show here, stateside, is for protectionists in Canada or Mexico or the EU to be lecturing America about protectionism is sort of unable to see but for the plank in your eye a little bit. So I would like to see trade barriers reduced across the board, as I suspect you would as well. And this is Trump's perhaps blunt way of trying to get to that end, even though, as you say, we do have a trade agreement that his team negotiated in his first term that he is now wants to, in his mind, improve upon.
Yeah, I don't agree with him on some of the things he says about an imbalance of trade in Canada's taking advantage of the United States. However, he's right when it comes to the military aspect, because Canada sits comfortably here north of the United States, knowing we are unlikely to be attacked, because attacking Canada is attacking the American military. America will come to Canada's defense. We know that. And where, to Canada's shame, we have not for years and years and years stepped up to our obligations in terms of what we owe to military defense and military spending based on share of GDP. We have been short on that forever. And to that extent, we are taking advantage of the United States.
Yeah.
I want to ask you about, during COVID, Trudeau froze bank accounts of truckers who were opposing vaccine mandates and lockdowns. Is he ever going to have to pay for what he did, or losing, resigning from office? Was that considered a victory?
I suppose it's a hollow victory of sorts. The lives that he upended, especially some of the leaders of that trucker convoy, I don't think that he pays any significant price. If people think badly of him and shake an angry finger at him, he doesn't really care. He's narcissistic and delusional. He, I think, has been found guilty of more ethics violations than any prime minister in the history of Canada, and yet he stands up there with his, like you said, Amy, with these, you need a tissue, because he's got tears in his eyes about the great sacrifices he made for this country, and it's ridiculous. I mean, basically what we had was a bunch of truckers who went to Ottawa, set up a bouncy castle, and sat around saying, literally, they set up a bouncy castle, and sat around saying, hey, we got to get rid of some of this lockdown in COVID. And he actually invoked the Emergency Act as if we had some kind of terrorist attack going on in this country. It was, and the court found that he did it improperly, illegally, and then he just kind of merrily goes on his way. I mean, how often do politicians ever face a penalty? Although I would say this, to know each other back when I used to work in Chicago, so I do know something about what goes on in Illinois, and I tell people sometimes here in Toronto, now that I'm here, there may be problems in politics in Illinois, but at least they have the good sense to send a governor to prison once in a while.
Yeah, right.
Or three.
Right. Yeah, so occasionally they get held accountable, usually after all the damage has been done and can't be undone. But yes, we do have that. Jerry Agar, Toronto Sun columnist and host of the Jerry Agar Show on News Talk 1010 CFRB in Toronto, as he mentioned. Jerry, thanks as always. Hopefully we'll not talk again on friendlier terms, where we're not at rhetorical war with one another. Not us, but, the politicians.
Yeah. Well, maybe if Poilievre gets elected and we can see Poilievre and Trump have a hug, then we can have one on the radio.
There we go.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good.
Virtual hug. All right. Thanks so much, friend. Good talking to you, Jerry Agar. He joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Listen to podcasts of Dan and Amy from the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
You can hear this today at PregerTopia.com.
When God creates the woman, he says as follows: it is not good for man to be alone. I will make him, now people get the first word right, a helper or helpmate. But the next word from the Hebrew is a helpmate who is his equal.
Hear the entire episode. It's for Pregertopia members only. Go to PregerTopia.com.
Guys, if you're often feeling tired, lacking motivation and drive, gaining weight, or noticing a loss of muscle mass, these could all be signs of low testosterone. Don't wait. Find out your numbers by contacting my friends at Low T Center. They make it easy to get your levels checked. It's just a simple test, and with their on-site lab, you get your results back right there. Low T Center is not a typical doctor's office. Their health providers specialize in treating low T with personalized testosterone replacement therapy, or TRT, for each patient. The experts at Low T Center have more than a decade of experience helping patients, and this is critically important, their treatment plans are optimized for each patient. They're not just basic standard dosage treatments. And at Low T Center, you can also get your health evaluated for treatment with prescription GLP-1 weight loss medications. So get back to your best this year. Go to lowtcenter.com to book your appointment today and tell them Dan Prof sent you when you do. That's lowtcenter.com. Again, lowtcenter.com. Low T Center, reinventing men's health care.
Are you an administrator, staff member, or parent volunteer at a private school? Would you like to grow your current enrollment and welcome new families to your school? If so, we want to tell you about a great opportunity to help increase enrollment and promote your school to families all across Chicagoland. It's called ChicagolandSchoolVouchers.com. They work to connect private